And we are live. Welcome back to LOI TV. We are joined today by Tig and Mark as well. Mark, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
No bother.
Happy days.
Thanks for having me.
Fair play, lads. Yeah. No, listen. I don't want to get back into the Ireland talk, but looks like we're going to have to. Last time we were talking to you, Mark, actually, was you're on reacting after the Serbia game, which was a kind of a positive stream, actually, especially looking back at it now compared to the last game. Relatively felt positive after the Serbia game. Then the Luxembourg game, we haven't actually heard your reaction to that. So maybe just give us your initial thoughts.
The way I look at it is, a lot of people are talking about, it's a terrible result and it's a disastrous result, and this will define Kenny's era. Had we won the game 1-0 and it had gone in off someone's backside or whatever, everybody would be delighted and it'd be all okay. We weren't great, but we got 3 points.
Step in the right direction.
When you add it up to Serbia, we're definitely getting there, and now we're scoring a couple of goals. But the reality of it is, when you look at that performance, Luxembourg is our level. That is it. That is our level right now, and we're there was nothing after 10 minutes. You could see it. The teams there was very, very little between the two teams, and we didn't have any ideas. We're creating so little, and that's the bottom line. I listened to the stat there tonight that we scored 4 goals under Kenny, I think, and one of them, one from general play that we created. One was a set piece, and one went in as the goalkeeper or the defender not chasing the ball and a second goal against Serbia. So we're not scoring in 10 games from our own play, and that's because the way we play, we're getting to the halfway line, and the first instinct is just to go backwards, just to keep the ball. So the football that we were expecting to see is not coming. It's not happening at all. There's no sign of it. It's there up to a point in patches, a la the first half against Serbia, where we had patches. But I think overall, when you actually look at that game, we could have got 4-1 down at one point. In that game, if you want to look at it that way as well, I think that the consolation goal maybe paints that as a better performance than it was. But in reality, I'm thinking we probably played as well in both games, because we there's not a huge difference now between the likes of Serbia and Luxembourg. There's not a massive difference anymore. Luxembourg drew with France not so long ago, and I looked over the recent results. Nobody's turned them over by 3 goals in the last 2 years. And what have Serbia done? Not really a whole lot. So I think maybe the people's perception is that, oh God, it was a disgrace because we lost to Luxembourg. The reality is, that's where we are. I think in European football now. I think we've sunk that low, and people are saying okay, but Luxembourg. People are saying, oh, give Ireland a break because Luxembourg have improved, but we haven't. We've gone the opposite way, and that's not good enough. It's just not good enough, and it's not acceptable. And there's probably a few reasons for it. The first one is, okay, let's say that the Serbia performance was better. I think that is fair enough to say.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very hard to compare games, but I think the Serbia was better by a fair degree. Okay, it's probably debatable, but it probably was. So you keep as much as you can in that game, but to change from a 4-3-3 to the 3-5-2, I think, why would you really want to go and do that? Because if you had a formula that was kind of bedding in, I think for younger players it can be a bit more confusing to change that again, and then just expect the goals, because that was a game where we were going. The goals had to flow, and I think we expected to create more by going that way. But it was blatantly obvious that we weren't going to create anything of note. I think we created 3 chances in the whole game, and if you call it an improvised bison kick a chance, okay, it's not exactly a clear-cut chance, but there wasn't an awful lot there in the whole game for me to say that this team is going anywhere. And but what is the problem? The performance isn't good enough. We all know that. We're not at the level we need to be at. We all know that as well. But what is the problem, and can the problem be fixed?
Do you think it's a sense of like you were saying there, like we tend to just get to the halfway line, then we end up going backwards or something like that. But when we did go forward, it would go into the likes of someone like Alan Brown, and let's be real here, he can't create a chance out of nothing. Like, so do you think, like
Yeah.
a lot of people are saying, like it is the quality that we have, we actually can't play a style of football like this, and maybe we are better off
But I
kind of
think you can
playing,
see the
reverting back to the
way.
old ways.
Yeah, I think you can see like because the chances that we're making, it has to come from like some bit of absolute brilliance or a mistake. That's going to be the only way we're going to score. I think Kenny's idea of the way that we would play was like kind of, I guess, with Dundalk, where you would have goal scoring midfielders that would come up and support and alternate almost, and that would feed off the front man, and the wingers would push up. So you'd have chances coming from either side, and if not, then you could play through the middle, and the striker would hold the ball up and feed it back to the on-running midfielder. That isn't happening in the team. That isn't happening. So the only way that we're going to create a chance is by, as you say, the goal against Serbia, or Robinson, excellent play, crossed it over, and a great header. But and we had a similar move in Wembley against England. We one move very similar to that, and that is it. Like, the midfielders are not joining the attack to get shots off. That is not happening at all. It's not part of the blueprint. But I think it was intended to be part of the blueprint. So he doesn't have this number 10, as we keep calling them, to get there and find a way through, and find a way of getting the number 9 to link in with the wingers respectively, or to link in with the on-running midfield players. And consequently, because it's not happening, it's all breaking down, and we're creating nothing. We're not even getting shots off. Like, you see a guy, you might as well have a go there. We're not even getting into those positions because we can't fashion that understanding between the players. And I think when you change Matt Doherty seems to be very intent on getting down the line, but he won't cut in. He's not putting in crosses. He's not linking. He's not putting the ball back in the midfield. He seems to be very one-minded in what he's doing. Whereas when I've seen him play with Wolves, he get the ball, he cut in, he play a little 1-2. Like, he's not doing that with Ireland at all. And you have to wonder, are the players on his wavelength, or are the players just literally getting to the halfway line and lacking that bit of direction themselves? And I think that's where Coleman comes in as well. I mean, I sort of made a couple of comments about Coleman. He's very brave coming out and always a good performance, but he should be doing more in the field to direct the players and what they should, especially younger players. And people are saying to me, "Oh, well, do you want him to hold his hand?" I mean, he has to give direction and tell a young player, you need to take the ball into you. You need to either take a touch and it needs to go forward the next time, and to give them that, to talk them through the game. And there's nothing wrong with doing that to a professional player, but we're missing several elements of that, and we're not creating anything at all. And it's just going to continue. Now, I'm giving the long answer here, obviously, for your question. but the other thing I'm thinking of is that he needs to rip up this current formula of playing guys like Troy Parrott should not be in that team ahead of Owen Doyle or James McGrath, in my opinion, because they're scoring goals. Like, between McGrath and O'Doyle, they've got 30 goals between them this season already, and they're not getting a sniff. Whereas we have the striker on Saturday night from Luton Town with 1 goal in 19 games. And the goal he got was a goal he chased out from a mistake against Serbia. So I think we have to just look at guys that are playing football in their teams, and guys with miles in their legs who are sharp and are scoring goals and have a bit of confidence. It was a division or two. Like, who cares? Look at the Luxembourg team; they're all playing 3rd and 4th division in weak leagues. So if they can do it, we can do it. But I think this idea of Troy Parrott was with Spurs. He's only ever scored 1 goal in a men's match. So expect him to come in and score goals at this level is asking him too much for a young guy. Where you've got guys playing 2 divisions down, scoring 30 goals a season, and they're not even getting a look in, and not even mentioned. So I think there are we do have a couple of possibilities. And even throw Maisula for 20 minutes in that game. I maintain he could have done so over 20 minutes on that pitch.
It couldn't have got any worse. It couldn't have got any worse.
Couldn't have got any worse, but I think we have to just stop this now and fix it, because you can't put guys in the pitch who aren't able to compete and don't have the stamina, because you're asking guys to play 2 games in 3 days who haven't played 2 games in a year. In some cases, their bodies are in tune to it, and they just get tired, and you can see it there. The mistakes were creeping in,
It's kind of rubbed off. It rubs off on the players who are playing regularly as well, because for the goal, I was just looking back at the goal Luxembourg scored, and I think Josh Cullen could have done more in the tackle. I think a little bit, probably could have done better. He got a foot to the ball, and then I think it was Enda Stevens, wasn't it, that was closing him down, and kind of hesitated a bit.
I think,
it was more Stevens.
Definitely should have closed that down quicker, like.
Yeah, and he kind of went for hesitated. Shot off.
I think and Stevens was very, very poor on the ball again. He seemed to take an eternity to make his mind up what he wanted to do with the ball, and I think 2 or 3 times he just kicked the ball, he poked it out of play, and there's just very, very little understanding for a guy, and he's playing every week. Like he shouldn't have that excuse. He's playing every week. Like his confidence mightn't be great, but and you see Doherty is now playing more, but I expected more from those 2 guys. Like they're senior players, and they just did nothing really in a creative sense. They seem very, very tunnel vision into what they were doing and running down kind of blind alleys, and but I think the spine of the team isn't good enough. It's not physically strong enough as well. We're not winning, as you say. Ross, totally right. We're not winning enough in the tackle. That midfield spine is very, very physically weak and very young.
It's the youth of it as well, isn't it? Knight, Malumbi,
when the goal is
young lads coming through.
Yeah, and I think Luxembourg saw that and they said, listen, these guys are, these young guys, and I know Cullen's not that young, but he's 25, 26, but he's not the biggest guy, and you can get in around him and knock. And I think they saw that as a tactic, and they sort of went for it. But the bottom line is, the ability that we have. We don't have brilliant players. We have got to stop thinking we can play world class football. We can't even do it against lower level teams, and we've seen that. So we've got to go back to a formula of playing guys who are match fit, and that's the first thing you got to do. If you've got guys who are playing and they're match fit and they're scoring goals, how can you then leave them out? But that's what they're doing on both counts. But we're playing guys who aren't match fit and aren't scoring goals, and I think that's wrong. It's not fair in the player as well,
So you're kind of saying there that that we're playing this certain style of football, and I don't think Stephen Kenny's going to revert to like a Mick McCarthy style of player or anything. So do you think that there is questions on Twitter and stuff that you see a lot of people kind of saying Stephen Kenny out and stuff like that? Do you think that is the right thing to be saying right now? And if he isn't going to change his style of play, is that a concern for you moving forward?
Yeah, you see, like the people who are coming out there again, and this always happens. It seems in Irish football, it tends to be the same people with negativity. Like it's like Richard Dunn there on the radio, sort of putting a boot in, and a couple of ex-players there. Things didn't go their way as well. And Owen Hand even coming on today, saying Kenny should be coaching an academy. Like that's ridiculous. And I read Owen Hand's book, and he hates the FAI. He absolutely hates the FAI with a passion because it took his tickets off him. They won't let him into the matches now. So he's got a massive. He took them to court and all this stuff. And so I don't know, is that born of his issues with the FAI, or does he genuinely believe that like, look at Owen Hand. He went from managing Limerick to managing Ireland. Yeah. So, and how can he say that you can't go from managing the League of Ireland to managing Ireland when he's done exactly the same thing? So there's people saying stuff, and there's not a lot of consistency in it. And it's not the I don't think it's a manager. Like, look at Brian Kerr, had the best win rate ever for Ireland, and he got fired. And who did he manage? So
exactly.
It's not that your background dictates it, because I was reading today, like, Michael O'Neill didn't get a win for his first, I think I
saw that as well, actually. 18 games or something, wasn't it?
Matches.
Yeah.
And he lost to Luxembourg as well. Yeah. And he lost Azerbaijan. And he again had come from a League of Ireland background via the Scottish third division or something like that. So Kenny's background has nothing to do with these results. It's due to the lack of progress and development of our players, and it's also partly due to the English-born players who 20 years ago would have jumped the chance to play for Ireland, who don't want it now because they're on such lucrative contracts in England. Whereas 20 years ago, playing for Ireland would be seen as a way of, okay, maybe a lot of these guys wanted to play for Ireland, but it would be seen as a good career move. But nowadays, it probably isn't, because you've got a guy on, sitting on a bench somewhere in the Premier League getting 30 grand a year, 30
It's the
grand a week.
homegrown rule in England. If you're an English
my own
player,
salary there for a minute. So there's no incentive. There's no incentive for them to go to play for Ireland anymore.
Yeah.
So we've lost that supply, I think, of top class players based abroad who couldn't bother their arse coming over, because it's not going to gain them, much value in their current salary, because they're on that salary already. So there's very little incentive for them, and I think clubs are putting players off as well.
It's probably a question mark there actually surrounding, like, would we want them to play for us anyway if they have that kind of attitude about it? Maybe we wouldn't want them anyway. So it's kind of maybe a blessing nearly as well, and we wouldn't want those kind of people. I remember Jermaine Pennant was one who's saying, I might as well go play for Ireland to get a few international caps towards the end of his career or something like that. Like there is some
someone else, I can't remember who it was. They said something like, I'll wait to see if England call me up first or something like that. It's like, what are you on about?
Exactly. It's like the second option. Tyg, just going to you quickly on the Stephen Kenny one.
I still think we're going to get him. He hasn't got a cap yet, so I'm for England. So I'm saying no, we're not going to get him, obviously. But that's the kind of level of player you need. That's the level of player you need, and there's nothing like that out there at the minute. No, we thought we were getting those kind of players, but maybe in 3 years when they bulk up a little bit or whatever, or get into better teams. But currently, it's not there. Sorry for interrupting, Tyg. Sorry.
No, I was just going to ask Tyg about where he stands on the kind of Stephen Kenny thing, because it is one of those where we've kind of had the discussion nearly over the weekend a little bit, like just saying privately over the weekend, where we were saying kind of we're going to need sacrificing the best years of our life here from a personal point of view. Watch it to go through the pain of it, I suppose. But maybe with the next World Cup being in Qatar and stuff, it's not the worst sacrifice to make. But it is one of those where it does beg the question of a short-term fix. Is it? It's hard. This is hard to know, isn't it?
Yeah. I think, like I was saying, at our age, we haven't seen us in a World Cup, and it's tough to take. But I think, looking back on it now, I think there was optimism because of the kind of change of culture, kind of that Kenny's trying to bring in. But really, looking at that group, there was very, very slim chance of us qualifying in the first place, and now we're in a position where it's slim to nil. And now I think it's just kind of the time for patience. I mean, there's no point making a change of manager now. There really isn't. Like, we're not going to qualify anyway. But I think Richie Sadler just said it a good few times. Like, there's no progress being made, and it doesn't seem like things are getting better. Then it's time to maybe think about making a change. I know Mark was saying there about kind of the way he wants to play, like the way he had Dundalk playing with midfielders coming in and scoring goals and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I think that's always what I said is, like, he tried to play his style with the 4-3-3. I mean, international management isn't really like that. You have to adapt to the players that you have. Like when you're with Dundalk or something like that, especially with a bit bigger budget than some of the clubs in the league, they can buy players to fit their formations like that. But we can't do that. So it is a question of whether he can get the most out of like the limited pool of players that's available to him. At the minute, he hasn't shown that at all. Haven't got results against teams that I think in the past we probably would have beaten. I know, like plenty other kind of football didn't always guarantee results, but teams like Bulgaria and stuff like that, I think we're good enough to beat, and Luxembourg definitely. But yeah, if we want to, it is. Definitely seems to be a disconnect between like the older players and the younger players and how they're trying to play. I know I mentioned it the other night about Coleman coming out and saying kind of some players were looking for the ball, some players weren't. Like basically digging in the interview, like, and you kind of can tell those players are like kind of older players who aren't really buying into it. Like Doherty looks like he doesn't have a smile on his face ever when he's playing. Like, but the worry now is that the players turn their back on him, because I mean, coming from a League of Ireland background, like not a lot of the players would have been playing at that level and stuff like that, and kind of think they're better than him, which is kind of the worry for me. But I think either way, I think patience needs to be had, and it's a tough one to take because it really genuinely did come in with optimism. But if you look back at it realistically, we never really had a chance, and it kind of hurt a lot on Saturday night. But it is what it is. This is the level that we're at, like, and kind of have to just accept it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was a tough one to take on over the weekend, and it's just one of those where he needed just to pick up if James Collins scores a chance, we hold out for 1-0 win, and it just gets you to 3 points on the board, gets the kind of monkey off his back a bit, and we can just move on from there. But yeah, it's a horrific result. There's no two ways about it, really. Before we're going to move on to talk about the Premier Division results over the weekend. Before we do that, I just want to say, if you are enjoying the stream, really appreciate if you can drop a like on it. If we can hit 70, we'll set the like target at 70 for this week. If we can hit that, it'll be greatly appreciated. And actually, now you are able to drop a super chat if you would like to do so. It's like a donation to the channel, basically, along with like a comment or a question. As always, all support of the channel is really, really appreciated. So thanks, guys. And subscribe while you're at it as well. It's very, very appreciated. But yeah, we're going to move on to the Premier Division, starting off with a big shock at Oriel Park that a certain someone who conveniently missed the show tonight wouldn't be happy to see. Dundalk 1, Finn Harps 2. Crazy result.
Yeah, I was looking at the highlights. Like Dundalk seemed like they're kind of controlling the game early on, but yeah, just an absolute howler from the keeper. Adam Foley pounced on that one, and just Beebe, I don't know what he was trying to do. It was just a really heavy touch, and then after that, it kind of could have gone either way. But I think it was a Duffy free kick, kind of near the halfway line, swung it in. Pat Hogan with a great header to equalise, and you kind of would expect Dundalk then to push on from there. I remember looking at the results on line scores, I got, all right, they'll go on and win this now. But then Hearts looked really good. I think it was 63rd minute, Dundalk kind of trying to create something with the Gates ball away, and a really good counter attack. It was a question of offside. I think it probably was offside, but I mean Harps won't care. Fucking Adam Foley with another great finish.
Great finish, wasn't it? Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, it was a really good finish. I mean, I think he was offside, but listen, we'll let them away.
Take them away from the finish, though, like, as well.
Exactly, yeah. And the only real kind of chance that they showed in the highlights anyway was Hogan had an 87th minute bicycle kick hit off the post. But they did fail to equalise, and it's 3 points for Ollie Horgan's Luminous Green Army.
That's it, yeah. Foley for Ireland, some people are saying. Adam Foley for the Ireland squad. Harps for Europe.
I mean, they're in.
Soccer did say he needed a hat, but we did negotiate that to the Harps jersey, more realistic option. Get the wallet out, Soccer. He won't be allowed back on the live show until he buys it. That's a promise, right? Mark, what did you make of the result?
Yeah, I saw the second half of that game, and it was kind of when Dundalk equalised. I was talking to a few people on WhatsApp, and we all decided that's it. Like, it's going to be business as usual. They'll put the cycle performance behind them, and the first half of that game behind them, and they'll score 3 or 4, and that is it. Like, there's no way that's not going to happen. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, they just found it a bit hard to break down. I thought they put a lot of pressure on the young lad O'Kane, the young Adam O'Kane, the left winger, and he's not in the game long. I think he's his first league start ever for them, and they put a lot of ball over to him on the left side, and I felt it put him under a lot of pressure. It didn't take Finn Harps long to kind of get under his skin a little bit, and all of a sudden they started losing a lot of ball on that side, and gradually Harps got more possession because it was breaking down on that left side quite a lot. Yeah. And then Harps were able to play through the middle. The offside, now, unfortunately, the angle, we didn't get enough cameras up to these games on the Watch LOI TV, so they didn't show the actual line, the back four. But that they could not believe how much space that he had there that was left open. And he just walked through with it. Like, there was absolutely nobody within 10 yards of him. I think it might have been Cleary that played him on the side. But it was an absolutely brilliant finish. Like, it was a fantastic finish. The keeper came out, closed him down, and he showed a lot of poise. Like, the first goal was just pure perseverance and determination and a bad hurler. Yeah. But, a good striker, like you saying after the game.
Absolutely, yeah.
He did spot the keeper was taking heavy touches. He said that in the interview after the game. That's what Adam said. And he spotted the keepers taking heavy touches. So he said he'll eventually chase one or two of these down. And he was right.
Yeah.
So good strikers notice things like that. And they don't just recover their position. They're observing what's the keeper doing. Is he taking an extra touch? Is he kicking it in this foot? Is he pulling back and going that way? And they will once or twice during a game try and exploit that. But I thought that I was a bit disappointed with Dundalk's late rally. I thought they were a little bit out of ideas, and they went very one-dimensional. And I thought Chris Shields probably should have pushed on a bit more. He was almost in line with the back four in injury time, and I know he's not the creative spark in the team, but I've said it a million times. I don't think Greg Sloggett gives you any creativity in midfield, and I don't think him and Shields complement each other at all. I think you see better results with Dundalk when either of them are playing, but when they're playing together, I Shields is a far superior player. There's just no chemistry there whatsoever, and I think once I know Dundalk have a couple of new players coming in. There's this Korean lad and they've a lad from the MLS coming in.
He looks a good player.
I think he's a midfield player, is he, Ross?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. I think he's with Valencia. I think if I'm not mistaken, someone like that.
Valencia, I believe. I checked his profile a bit. Yeah, he got 2 games at Valencia, and I imagine that's the role where he's going to be that number 10 there, because they have McElhenney in there, but we say the same thing every year about McElhenney if we get him fit. But he's just gonna. You're waiting for him to reach out for a ball and just pull up again, because that's a condition that he has to try and manage himself, and it's difficult for him. But they need this a mainstay in midfield, like a Richie Towell kind of player, which they had before, a Robbie Bentz kind of player who's going to pull the strings there, because they're lacking that big time. And you can see it in Europe there as well. Like Chris Shields is probably is driving the team forward in Europe a lot more, but doesn't quite have that creative instinct. But I think they need that, and like with Jordan Flores going out of the team now, it's even more lacking in midfield. So I'm not surprised the teams can read them a lot easily, and I'm not surprised that when you go ahead against them, it's easy enough to defend as well.
Yeah,
because they don't quite have that ability. They don't quite have that ability in either side of the pitch now. And Duffy didn't do an awful lot in that second half that I saw the other night. Because I seem to put Duffy out on the right hand side now. Normally you see him out on the left as a right side player. I think that's to accommodate O'Kane. So it's interesting to see what they're doing. But there's so many players there. The Perez coming in. They have a lot of guys coming in, and they will get the right formula. Like, there's no doubt about it. They'll definitely be in the top 3.
Definitely.
But I'm not convinced that with those players on the pitch, it won't be with those players on the pitch. They'll have to. I'm also not a fan of Dummigan. I think he's excellent, fantastic first touch, good passer of the ball, but I think he just positionally he's not quite there, and a bit panicky in his own area. But I think he's got the traits of a very good kind of wing back. But I don't know if he'd fit into that team as much. I don't think defensively he's sound enough. I probably thought Dave Massey was probably a better player than him, to be honest. But that's Dave Massey kept him out of the team all along, and Filippo puts him into the team for whatever reason. But there you go. I mean, they will be up there, but I think they're lacking that bit of fluency. And if you had won the clock back there 4 years, they'd have created 10 or 12 chances in the last 15 minutes there.
They would have found a way through, definitely. You feel?
Yeah, but credit to the keeper. McGinney made a brilliant save as well in there. An absolutely brilliant save.
Yeah, that's 3 goals and 2 for Foley. He'll take the plaudits, but the keeper was smashing, made some great saves, and he's been great for Harps now for last season. He was fantastic as well. So he's a smashing goalkeeper, and probably most underrated goalkeeper in the league, to be honest. Moving on to the next game, Waterford playing host to Sligo Rovers. Jordan Gibson rightfully takes the plaudits after this one. Tig, you look at the highlights.
It was a good header from the corner for I think it was King Kavanagh who got that one to open the score. But Jordan Gibson just played down the right wing, was unbelievable. Like, he great cross in. It was actually a lovely volley. I think it was Romeo Parks got it to equalise. But the second goal was a piece of magic. Like, lovely few step over, sent the defender the wrong way, just curled it in on his left foot into the top corner. It was an unbelievable finish. And there's some resilient defending. I think it was Gary Buckley or something blocking a shot late on.
Yeah.
Just to see it out for them. So Waterford maybe a bit more promising, but the Jordan Gibbs and Romeo Parks looked like two very bright players.
Absolutely. What do you think of that result, Mark?
I saw the whole game actually. This one, and I mean, Liam Buckley wasn't happy with the performance. I thought it was like maybe 6.5 out of 10. Again, they were going away from home. Fairness to Waterford, like a young team, probably didn't have the greatest pre-season. A lot of guys coming in from the UK, not familiar with the league. I would worry for them, but they're all good players. Like, I mean, these are all good players, but that's not enough anymore. You saw what Cork last year brought in guys from Arsenal, QPR, and that doesn't mean anything at all. I mean, if you're not in for men's football, it doesn't matter what club you're with. You have to be able for the speed and the intensity, and you have to be able to take a knock. If you take a slight knock and you're letting that hamper you for the game, and I think we saw that with Cork last year, and I think Waterford are going to go exactly the same way.
Are you worried about them?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. And I have very little sympathy for them because I think the club is not run the way that it should be run, and I don't think it's very fair on the fans that when they build a rapport with the team that they don't treat the team that well, and that's a fact. Like, I mean, like Graham Cummins
last season, like they had Tyreek Wilson and Sam Bone, they were building a really, really good squad, and it all just got taken away from them. Matty Smith, of course, there's plenty of them. Yeah,
I don't know how many of those players would have left anyway. But the point being, and you can only go by what you're hearing. And so Graham Cummins was saying that there's no communication with the players. They basically almost left the players. Okay, if you want to go, no problem. We'll get other players in, and then you're starting from scratch again. And it's really a road to nowhere, I think. And you wonder what they really want to do, what they want to achieve, and you're sort of wondering. Okay, they're bringing these guys over from the UK, and what's the motivation in that? Like, I mean, just to stay up and exist, like, or is it just to cut the cloth and have no ambition? But the fans will not like that, because if they feel that there's no actual roadmap in place, they'll find it hard to put their money behind it as well.
Absolutely.
But good players there. I mean, look at those Waterford players. Like Seb Awale, who was there last year, who I rate very, very highly, and he can't get into he didn't get into the team. I don't think he played on Friday night, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very good player there. There's Oscar Brennan there as well. Yeah. Good experienced player. They brought him in, and when I saw the likes of him coming in, I'm thinking, okay, well, let's get a few homegrown players in who know the league. And I think this boils down to maybe two men like Brian Murphy. Only for him last year, they probably would have finished in the bottom two or three. The amount of points he won for them. But I think Darren Murphy's very important for them as well. If him and Keane Kavanagh can get something going and get a few goals there, they might be okay. But it's almost a process of elimination, and you're thinking, well, who's going to go down? And you look at the perennial Drogheda. Those teams they've beefed up. They've beefed up big time. And if you're not
even Longford are looking very good as well, aren't they? So
Longford is very, very good, and if Longford are for a part-time team, very, very fit looking, and the right age profile, the age profile. A lot of lads, 22, 23, not kids, not old men. These guys they're playing they want pro contracts, and they're ambitious, and they got a good manager. But in terms of Waterford, I think Waterford don't have a lot of those fit factors. They don't have a lot of those ingredients, and I think it'd be interesting to see when Longford play Waterford, how that will play out. Because I think Longford will be a superior team, and you'll see they're probably a bit more hunger in them as well. But for Sligo, look at the players they have. You've guys coming back in. Okay, John Mahon was out missed all of last season, getting
fantastic
back in.
Defender. Yeah,
but Gary Buckley, like a centre midfield player, has come back in and play centre half. If they can get him on the ball. They can get him on the ball and play the ball out from the back. Like, they're going to be a superb footballing team.
Yeah. And they actually took Robbie McCourt from Waterford. I think he's been left full, in that game. But he looks very comfortable on the ball as well. Yeah, he's on the ball. He did have a rocky period in the first half where he was caught out of position 3 or 4 times.
but he really turned it on in the second half. He was
Second half
excellent.
is great. Yeah.
He went up a notch, and so much so in the first half I thought he might be hooked at halftime. But he showed what he can do, and
Yeah.
I don't think that was always the case with him. With Bohemians, he was in and out, and in England he was at West Brom, I believe. And but
yeah.
you know, he's a good age. Like he's again another player that 23, 20, that age where they've no fear factor, and a fit player, good ability, and now is the time for him. But I think Buckley has put that squad together and those people together purposefully, and he's got the guys in that he knows ability wise, and you can see it there. There's a lot of goals in that team.
Greg Bolger as well coming in, that blend of experience in the youth as well. Greg Bolger coming in is essential.
Yeah, Greg Bolger in there. And I'm just wondering what's going to happen when you get De Vries comes back into the team.
Yeah. Will
Morahan step out, or will Bolger? I mean, Bolger and Morahan are very, very similar players in that team, and I'm thinking, how will they complement each other? But Bolger's a very good player. Bolger can play football. He can sit deep. He can do a whole lot. It's interesting to see how that midfield works. That might be one area where they might be missing one player. But I think up front, like they're going to score a huge amount of goals. Parsons going to score a lot, playing in behind the striker, and
really
they really are. And you've Walter as well to score a few.
Yeah, the young lad coming through looks good as well. Johnny Kenny, he's looking good pre-season, coming through.
Yeah, only 17, and but by all accounts, I think he scored 9 goals in pre-season. Like he's going to score a lot of goals there. I think his uncle played for Sligo back in the early 90s, Johnny Kenny as well.
Yeah.
So I think with that name, he had to keep going to play for Sligo. But they're looking very, very good. Only I worry about them is the squad. It's not massive, but they've gone very top heavy in quality, and that's what they haven't spread themselves too thin. Like maybe like what Derry have. I think Sligo have really gone for the really strong 11 or 12 players. And hopefully to a Liverpool on it and keep them all fit and win the league. But but if you get a couple of injuries, I would worry about them,
For sure. We touched on Longford previously. They, of course, came back and got a fantastic draw away at Daleyman Park, 2-2 in that one. But Boas must be disappointed to have thrown that away.
Yeah, they led early on. It was I think it was Liam Burt assist. He kind of played across the box. It was a lovely touch and turn from Georgie Kelly to finish it. And then there was a poor Longford clearance, kind of put them under pressure. Balls capitalised on it. It was kind of came in as a ball towards the box, and then Keith Ward took it down, and it was Ross Tierney just fired it home. It looked like they kind of go on and win comfortably. It was Basham Harry just kind of messing around with it on the edge of the box, just gave it away, and it's Connor Davis. He just picked it up, and some lovely footwork actually. Just kind of delayed the shot and then fired it home, and then it looked like they just kind of fell apart. Like there's just serious pressure on them, and then it was a ball down the right or some, from the right wing, and just gone all the way to the back post, and Davis just tapped it in. And after losing away to Harps last week, and then this result, it's just really poor from both.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm worried about them a little bit. But if you're looking at your start of the season, you see Finn Harps and Longford, you're thinking that's a really nice start to the season. We can get some points on the board early on.
If people are talking about them challenging for definitely for the top 3 again, like, you'd be looking to try and get 6 points there. Like, it's really disappointing.
Very disappointing result.
I think Dan Casey's probably the big loss there, isn't he, lads?
Definitely.
Like that. When I saw that at the start of the season, like that's bigger than Derek Pender previously, or Luke Byrne, or any of these kind of defensive players, or any of the goalkeepers that they've lost. He is a massive loss, and probably. People talk about Roberto Lopez and Lee Grace. He's as good as them, if not better. And I don't think people realise how good he really is, and a massive loss to the club. Really is. I think they got back Kieran Kelly. I think he was with he was up North Ballymena. I think he's back. He might get it. He was at Ballymena. Yeah. I was actually in a match up there and didn't realise he was playing, and I was like, geez, that's Kieran Kelly. It was a match before Christmas with Ballymena against Dungannon or something. But no, I think that's where I think they will leak more goals this season. You see the likes of Bastian Heary there. The Tide was saying, like, that is that is unforgivable at 2-0 to do that in the edge of your box. You know, if only Breen's Oil would forgive you for that one. You know, if you done that up and
he does have a tendency, kind of here. You just whenever you watch him, to kind of hold on to the ball a little bit long. Like he kind of maybe raised himself a little bit too high. He thinks he can just go past players, and he just got found out. And then they were really under the pressure, and they just kind of buckled under it really. And credit to Davis.
We saw his video. He's a street juggling video where he's knocking the ball off walls and volleying them into bins and all this stuff. It's like he thought he was at that, like, you know, and flicking the ball over a telephone box, all that kind of stuff he was doing. But it was almost like he was doing that. But you're right, it's like that's the kind of player he is. But to do that in your own penalty area, you know, in a game like that, there's just no margin for it. You have to win it. And
definitely.
You've the likes of Connor Davis. I think he caught everybody by surprise. I thought he was done in football. Like, I mean, with UCD, he was really, really good. He went to Derry, and you know, it didn't do any favors.
A few injuries, Nick, wasn't it? A few injuries and stuff he had, I think.
A few injuries up there, a lot of injuries up there. He didn't progress at all. I saw him play a couple of games. I think he scored. I think one of the Solomon actually scored for Derry against UCD. But he didn't do an awful lot there. He probably scored half a dozen goals in a year and a half. And it was good. And I thought, well, where's he going to go from here? Again, a player, he was in England for a couple of years, and very, very highly rated by all accounts as well. But the goal, the second one to the first one, like that is like a player who was fully fit and fully ready to go. And he's got that burst. He has a burst of pace you see in a striker. Yeah. When you see that's a striker at his peak. You know, he wasn't just a poach. That was a goal he made by himself. And that goal will work wonders for him. It really will. Because he's got the ability. He's got the low center of gravity. He's always in and around the box. He just needs that. He just needs that bit of. Just needs that game time now, and that will put him into the starting 11 every week now. That race, I'm sure it will. You know, because Longford need goals badly. They don't have a lot of recognised goal scorers in that squad. Again, Aids Irvin, like from what I saw there, really tenacious in midfield,
energetic. Really good player.
Hometown boy as well, and he's going to want to do well for that club. And it's either going in, they're treating every game just to go out and enjoy it. But they've got some Joe Gorman in there. Like they've some hard men in there as well. Like they won't roll over easily. And
they've a good balance. They've a good balance.
You made the point about the good balance. I made the point about McGinley saving Harps, but Lee Stacey again making a great save at 2-0. And when you have a goalkeeper that good, that's going to win you points. Like only for that save at 2-0, they would have lost the game, and nobody would have known that they would have got two back. But when you've got good quality right through the middle of the pitch, and that's what they have, I think they'll be okay. And Aaron Bolger is up there as well, isn't he? He's
smashing player over from Cardiff. Cardiff.
When he was at Rovers, people were saying he was too good for Rovers.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't that long ago. Like they were saying he was too good for, and he went to Cardiff and Irish under 21, and now look, Longford got him. I don't know how they got him. I'm only thinking that they got him under the radar, or Rovers couldn't guarantee him starting position.
Yeah, I was surprised to see it myself. Actually, that he actually went to Longford. It was a bit of a really, really good signing.
That's a great signing for them. And again, like it goes back to what you say about relegation, and it's really about eliminating who won't go down as opposed to two weak teams, because the standard, in my opinion, is very, very high.
And Longford have a very settled squad compared to Waterford. Their squad's very settled. They know each other really well. They'll fight for each other. Waterford, all these loanees coming in, still getting to know each other. I think Longford, definitely, I'll have them above Waterford, definitely for sure. And they're surprising people, and that's 4 points on the board now from 2 games. It's a fantastic start to the season.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, that's it. And if you look at it there, I mean, they came up the hard way last year for the playoffs, and you saw the jubilation when they beat Shelburne in the playoff game, and the whole lot, and that's going to help build that team's belief as well, and it's going to make the players fight for each other. The manager didn't turf out half the players. He kept the backbone there, and he said, "Okay, you got us up." They finished. I think they finished 4th in that first division last year. I think it was 4th they finished. So they had no expectation even going into the playoffs. So it's like a free shot for them. But I saw that Longford team play against Bows the year before last in the Cup in Dynamo Park, and I could see that team was going to be good. They were, I know Anto Breslin was in that team as well, whom they've lost subsequently. But they were applauded off the pitch. Now Bows beat them 2-0, but they were every bit as good as Bows in that game. It could have been 2-1. They were every bit as good as them, and it just amazed me how they finished fourth last year. I mean, they were probably the best footballing team in that division. I'm astonished how they finished fourth.
It's because it's a half season, a little bit loss of form maybe at one stage, and you're down there. Like it was so tight, wasn't it? Really, like I think there was like from seventh on the last day could get into the playoffs still. Like it was really, really tight. So maybe if it was over a longer season, Longford could have been in the top two maybe or whatever. But fantastic point for them. And the last thing on it, Connor Davis, Socko and Liam were talking to Dara Doyle before, and he kind of said that in the interview that he's a bit unlucky with injuries recently, but he's delighted to get him in, and you can see why, with just the quality he had, the composure in front of the goal, because if you're 2-0 down, you think maybe you have a snatch at the shot when you see side of goal, but the way he got dummied the shot, got around, created an inch or created a little bit of space and got the shot off, really, really impressed with that. Very, very good point at Dalymount Park for them. Moving on to the last game of the Premier Division, St. Pat's narrowly beat Drogheda by 2-1. That's a good win for Pats. 4 points from 2 now for them.
Yeah, the first half was a bit of a strange one. I think it was Darren Mark went down the edge of the box, of his own box, and almost looked like he got stamped on or something like that. But Pats just played on, and the ball came in from the left, and Cotton just tapped it home. But the equaliser is really good play from Ginny Corcoran. I think it was Mountain, he misplaced the pass straight to him, and he drove forward. And like you kind of expect like a striker maybe just have a pop or something like that, but he didn't know how to kind of play it out to the left. And I think it was Doyle had a shot, and realistically kind of poor keeping from Yaris. He probably should have caught it, but again, Corkinshaw's experience was there to kind of to finish it. And it looked like it was heading towards a draw, but Cochran had a shot from range and he kind of bounced off the post, and then it looked like kind of the ball had been cleared or something like that. The camera angle just didn't kind of pan over, and then all of a sudden the ball came back to the box, and it was Billy King just at the back post, just to smash it home. So a huge 3 points for Pats, and overall pretty decent start for the season for them. I kind of didn't expect them to do this well, but 4 points from those two games is good going.
Yeah, it's Shamrock Rovers' first game of the season, going away to there and getting a point, and then moving on to this one. The keeper, wasn't it Jarosh? Yeah, as you're saying, you got a lot of praise.
It was a hard shot, like a lot of power on it, but it was right at him, like you expect him to kind of catch it into him. He just kind of hands it down, and Corcoran's just there just to knock it in.
Yeah.
Well, how good do you think a season can St. Pat's have, Mark? Do you think?
Yeah, I saw the second half of this game because I saw the Bows were 2-0 up, and I said, "What game will I watch?" And I saw this one was a lot tighter, so I switched on. I watched the whole second half of this game, and I think I was more impressed by Pats in their first game. I have to say, I thought they played at a higher tempo. I don't know, was it the conditions or something on Saturday, but they certainly didn't play at the same speed. They were a little bit off the pace. Not as dynamic, I thought. Probably not as didn't play with the same urgency that they played against Rovers. Having said that, I think Drogheda really are showing that they really have beefed up their squad. And they're going to be a match for anybody, including Dundalk or Rovers. They'll be one of the top 2 or 3 teams. That I've no doubt about it. They'll take a couple of big scabs this season. So I think the reflection, they'll be happy with the win. I heard Alan Matthews talking there, an interview there. He seems to do all the talking, but he was quite happy with the result. Obviously, they left it quite late. A bit lucky with the late goal there, the way it kind of came about. But I think overall, Pats probably shaded the game. Certainly possession, they had a lot of possession. But Drogheda, like fair play, they did dig deep, but they got the goal, although it was a horrendous effort by Mountney. And I think he could be a weak link in that team, to be honest with you. Like, he's not a right back.
Yeah, that's weird. He's there, isn't it?
But I think that ball he gave. But the ball he gave away was under absolutely no pressure whatsoever. And you have to wonder, like, is this going to reoccur? And will this be a problem in big games for him? He's playing at a part of the pitch that he wouldn't be for. Like only when he played at right wing back last year for Dundalk, I thought he was a bit lost. He was a bit lost back in his own half and around the halfway line. He's more of a put the ball in front of me type and run onto it and whip the ball in. So I think it'll take a bit of adjusting there to play in that position. Again, I thought Pats were solid there. The Paddy Barrett obviously to come back into the team. He pulled up in the first game, probably not match fit again, but they'll be solid. They'll be good at the back. They won't concede a lot of goals. They conceded a soft one. The goalkeeper, you can nearly tell by the way he plays, that'll be his only mistake for the next 10 games. Like he looks like a very assured keeper. He commands very well, and I think that mistake just lacked concentration. But I think that will be a good thing for him in hindsight. And the fact that it doesn't cost him 2 points.
It's a huge one. That's huge. Yeah.
It's a huge one. It's a huge one for him. If that had cost him 2 points, it might affect him because he's such a young player.
Blow. Absolutely.
He's living away from home, but apparently he talks with a Scouse accent now, so he should have no problem with the lingo or whatever as well. But his English is quite good apparently. But you just wonder if this was a real test of character for him. But I think it'd be made a lot easier by virtue of the fact he got over the line. Good to see Roland Coughlin getting a Limerick man getting a goal there.
Yeah.
He's actually from near where I grew up.
Really,
just down the road. Yeah.
Good player. Very good player.
Good player, yeah. And I think all the young fellas in Limerick will be getting that ponytail now to try and copy him. But no, he's a good player. He's not an out goal scorer. If he can get 10 or 12 goals this year, he'll be happy with that.
Because I remember we were talking to Keith from Irish Footy Vlogs there a couple of weeks ago before the season started, and we kind of compared him to like nearly as the Firmino of the Liverpool front three, where like kind of create space for the wingers more than scoring the goal. He's not an out and out goal scorer. Like he's not your typical kind of number 9. He will nearly play as a 10 nearly.
And his movement off the ball is fantastic. And he's even when he's back to goal, he can turn either way. He can bring players into the game. He's just one of these guys that can sort of slow a game down in a really hectic area.
You need that as well. You need that.
Yeah. And I think he's just a clever player. And something that Pats probably didn't have the last few years. They seem to have had just very, very direct, immobile kind of strikers.
Georgie Kelly last year, wasn't it? I think, wasn't
it? And even more immobile, Gary Shaw, just up there knocking on headers, but couldn't move around in the box enough. Couldn't see the ball. Couldn't latch on to passes or turn quick enough. Like Gary Shaw was a decent striker, but not quite dynamic enough for a footballing team like Pats, who will in an instant get the ball into your feet, and you've got to do something like it. And I don't think they suited Georgie Kelly either, But I think it will suit Coughlin a bit more because he is more of an all-around footballer. I think to play for Pat, like Chrissy Fagan was a Pat, he's an all-around footballer who could play up front, and I think you need that at St. Pat's to be successful.
Yeah, I think Coughlin suits O'Donnell and Matthews' style of play more than the Kelly probably would. I think Pat's definitely in the conversation for Europe this season, and Drogheda I think will be absolutely fine from relegation. They might be a little bit maybe for a playoff place, but I think they'll definitely avoid 10th spot. And I think they probably should be okay. I think. Looking at our predictions from last week, we'll just have a quick look at the league table as it stands. So, Ty, you didn't have the best week yourself. Now, was that 1 point you got?
Yeah, fuming though, because I had a draw in Pats and Drogheda, and it was a late goal, and I had Bows to win through a 2-goal lead. Like, I think most of us had Dundalk. I think all of us had.
Everyone had Dundalk. Everyone had Sligo, and everyone obviously won that one. Most of us went for Bows to win against Longford, but Socko and Liam went for a draw. Mad shout, they got it right, obviously. And then
got away with murder there.
Yeah, got away with absolute murder. St. Pat's and Drogheda, you went for a draw, and everyone else went for a home. So everyone else got that right, and you didn't. So
Socko, last minute, I would look like a genius.
Yeah. Socko leads the way with 5 points. Yeah. 500 quid on the line, 100 quid each in. Soccer leads with 5 points. In second place is Liam with 4 points. I'm clear of Tig in third with 3 points. Tig just below me with the same amount of points alphabetically. Put myself above him. And then Griff. What's the saying? What's the smell? With a measly 2. What's the weather like down there, Griff?
Stinks down the bottom.
Stinks down the bottom. Absolutely stinks. So yeah, Griff is down the bottom. And we'll move on to a few of our predictions for the upcoming games, and we'll get Mark's predictions for them as well. So the first one in the Premier Division is Longford against Sligo, which should be an interesting game. Definitely. I'll go through what the lads said first. So Soccer went with a home win, Griff went with a draw, and Liam went with an away win. So completely different thoughts on how it's going to go. What do you lads think?
I think I'd back in away win. I just look from the quality of the goal even Sligo had. I just think they have enough to win that one, despite Longford's good performances in the first couple of games. But I'm going to go with Sligo away win.
Yeah.
Mark, what do you think? Points for an away win?
No, it's
1 point no matter what.
It used to be years ago in the League of Ireland, even before I started following it, that you had 3 points for an away win and 2 for a home win. That was back like in the 70s, I believe, or something like that. But that's the way they used to do it. Yeah. But I'll go for the away win there. I go for Sligo there.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. Sligo.
That'd be a great game. That should be a fantastic game, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you think Longford, they might slow down a little bit, maybe like the new upcoming bounce. It's starting to get real now. 3 games in, they might just that little bit of experience Sligo have, a little bit of know-how.
What could happen there? I think what could happen there is, as soon as the bubble bursts, they might hit the ropes. If they keep getting results, even if you a couple of draws here and there, but if they get one like 3-0 defeat at home or something like that could really set them back. I think being a newly promoted team and and say being relatively young, but I do believe really that they have enough resilience, not to let that happen. But I mean, that's probably the only reason. I think ability-wise, they're good enough to, not lose 2 or 3 games in a row. But to let that affect 1 or 2 players, if it did, that's maybe how they could be drawn down the table a bit.
Yeah, for sure. There's a few cracking games on this weekend. We'll say them to last. We'll go Derry versus Waterford next. Derry, when did they play Shamrock? Is that this week they're playing Shamrock Rovers? I think because they'll obviously postpone with the international call.
I'm not sure when that's actually on.
Well, it might be another week, but Derry 13th. Obviously 13th is it? So it's a while away. So Derry obviously have only played the 1 game, and they'll be gutted with that. Was terrible performance against Longford away from home. Waterford obviously 2 losses as well. So I'll probably edge it towards Derry getting back together and winning it, but I don't think there'll be much in it at all now, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't been very impressed with Waterford. Obviously, we've talked about them a good bit. I think it might be kind of a one-off result, the Longford performance. I think Derry will bounce back and win this one, so I'm going to go with a home win.
Yeah. What do you think, Mark?
I can just see Waterford being a bit like Ireland and losing a lot of games by a goal. Just coming close. Having reasonably good players, but not outplaying anybody. I can't see them outplaying. So I think their time for a win is going to have to wait another couple of weeks at least. And I don't know who they're going to beat, but they're going to have to. I'm definitely going for a Derry win there, and I think this could be a big one. I think this could be about 3-0.
Really, yeah. Next up, Drogheda against Finn Harps, which would be a good game as well. That's a tough one to call. Finn Harps has obviously been really good. Yeah, it's a really, really difficult one.
Obviously the 2 results Finn Harps have had, like if you looked at that, I mean, unbelievable results. I mean, they probably looked at the start of the season and said, right, the first 2 games are really going to struggle. Be happy with 1 point even, but also Drogheda have been decent. I'm going to go with a draw just because I can't see Finn Harps winning a 3rd game in a row, especially away from home. And but they are good enough definitely to earn a draw.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd go draw as well. What do you think, Mark?
I'm going to go for the away win again. I think Harps they're going to go in and they're going to feel that this is their time. I don't think they've ever probably had 2 wins in the Premier. not in the modern era or whatever. But yeah, I think they're going to go in there and they're going to say, listen, we're playing Drogheda. We'll go in there at tight pitch, and I think it could be a bruising game. I really, and I think Drogheda would be the same. Drogheda are going to think this is a game we have to win, and I think that game, like, there would be some serious tackles going in that game, and there'd be a lot of cards, and I think it'll be I think there could potentially be a couple of red cards in that game, and a lot of set pieces. But I think Harps will do it. I think they'll win it maybe 2-1.
Good show. Yeah. Then the two huge games. Bohemians play host to St. Pat's and Bows. There's a lot of pressure on Keith Long to get a win in this one because the start of the season has been so poor. It's going to be a tough game at Pats, though. I don't think I can see Bows winning that one.
Yeah, it's a really tough one to call. Like, Bows have shown me nothing so far to make me pick them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the results have to start coming soon, I think. So I'm going to go with a draw because
I was thinking the same.
I think that's a fair result. Pats have got some good results so far. But I just think surely it's going to click for Bows and they're going to see this one and get a draw or something like that. But I just don't see them winning. They haven't shown me enough in the games that I've seen, the highlights that I've seen, to win this game.
Yeah. Mark, what do you think of that?
Do you have any easy games? These are all tough ones to call.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with the away win again in this one. I think that late winner by Pats and the way that the Bulls game finished last week, I think that will play on the minds of the players going into this weekend, and that'll be a big factor. And Pats will just be playing, they'll be playing with a bit of freedom. They'll be going there, big pitch. They're playing good football. There's some good footballers in that midfield now, and Forrester is definitely up a level than what he was the last couple of years. And I think if he can start dictating the game and they can again play football and get Coughlin involved in the game, he can exploit the couple of weaknesses back at the back there for Bohemians. I think. I actually can't see Bows win that game. Possibly a draw. I think based on what I've seen in the first 2 weeks, I think Pats will beat them.
Yeah, interesting.
And it could be just a low score and win, maybe 1-0 or something like that.
Yeah, I won't be watching that one, I don't think. And then it doesn't get any harder.
No predictions. It'll go and be 3-0 or something like that.
4-3.
Yeah. It doesn't get any harder, lads. Last one of the weekend, and it's probably the highlight one, is Shamrock Rovers playing host to Dundalk. Two sides that you'd expect to be the top two come the end of the season, and two sides that are in desperate need of a win.
Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes you go into these games and they're kind of similar on points, and you kind of just expect they both be happy with a draw. But I mean, after Rovers failing to win at home in their last game, and Dundalk after losing and drawing the game, you really want to be winning it to kind of assert your dominance, kind of get up towards the top half of the table. Personally, I'm going to go with a Rovers win. I just Dundalk have been very poor, I think, so far, and I can just see Rovers coming out with that one on top. Yeah,
I'm thinking of the same kind of thing. Mark, what do you think of that one?
I'm actually going to stick to my pattern here and go for the away win. I can't really see Dundalk having 1 point after 3 games, and I'm kind of basing on the as much as you can on the President's Cup, where Dundalk are probably the better team, and even with 10 men, Rovers struggle against them. And I think that the couple of mistakes that Dundalk made against Harps won't be repeated, and I think they'll have a stronger 11 going into that game. So I'll go for. And again, this could be like a 1-0 away win.
Yeah, could be a tight one, that one. As to first division reviews, we will have a look at them now. So starting off, Mark, welcome to you for this. Limerick's Treaty United in their first game, going to Bray Wanderers and picking up a point. Definitely, that's a good. It wasn't the best of games now, but it was definitely a good result for them in their first game.
Yeah, the best thing about the game was the commentary. The two boys had good banter. It sounded like one of them was in his car or something, talking to the other fellow over the phone. And it it was one of those games where I think neither team really got going. Like there was 1 minute there was hailstones and there was gale force winds and nobody at the match and all of that and I think there was a sense of both teams was certainly truly happy with the point and they defended very, very well. Looked as though they could play a bit of football and a lot of willingness for the full-backs to go forward. The red card might be a problem with McSweeney getting a red card carrying into this week and probably their best player, to be honest. But defensively, like they look pretty good. Like Ty Ryan, very good goalkeeper. And I think Treaty will give most teams a good game. I really do. I think they'll be lacking in goals is the only thing. Probably lacking in goals quite significantly. But they will be competitive and they'll be more competitive than the last Limerick team in Division 1 there. From the bit that I saw, Stephen Kinsella came on, gave Bray a little bit of energy when he came on. The midfield, Conor Clifford did okay. Tried to probe, couldn't quite find the way through the middle. Bit disappointed by Brandon Kavanagh, to be honest. I expected more from him in Division 1. I thought he bossed that game. I really did. And he just seemed to kind of be very peripheral and he was happy to kind of stay around with a centre circle. And, the Brandon Kavanagh that we kind of know is the one who's probing around the edge of the box, putting the balls through, stringing the play together. And didn't quite do that. That was a bit disappointing. Bray might lack goals there as well, but they have a very strong midfield. Luka Lovic in there as well, and Darren Creven in there. No, I didn't see all the first half, but he's a big, strong lad as well. They have a good mix of players in there. And Dylan Barnett, left back, a very attack-minded left back. So I think Bray will they will be very formidable. I'm still tipping Bray to win the league.
Really?
Even though they're third favourites. I think they've Aaron Barry at the back there, Brian Maher in goal. Like they have a superb team. They really
it's very good. So they're definitely top three, I think. Yeah. But I think Shell's go away and them are very, very tight now.
Yeah, Cork could be up there as well.
Cork too, of course. Yeah.
It came a bit late to the party with a few good signings, Cork. And I think they might be one to count into the equation as well.
Yeah, for sure. Next game was two teams that I predict will probably be down the bottom, probably 9th and 10th. Wexford and Cabinteely. Cabinteely won this one 2-1. So yeah, good start to the season for them.
Yeah, I think Cabinteely had something like 15 corners. I think Wexford only had 4. I think the open goal came from corner. It was Kevin Knight scored a header. They doubled the lead early in the second half.
Is he Jason's brother? I think he is, isn't he?
His brother, yeah.
Is he really?
Yeah.
That's class. They doubled the lead early in the second half. It was actually a lovely free kick. I don't know if any of you caught the highlights of it. But Wexford, 6 minutes later, it was kind of a scrappy goal from a corner. Cabinteely couldn't really get it clear. And but the only other real thing of note I saw was Wexford, the goalkeeper, had nearly an absolute howler. He tried to clear the ball and just keep it off his own defender's head and almost resulted in a chance. I think it just ended up hitting the side netting. But it looks like it could be the start of a very long season for Wexford. It's a poor result. I mean, Cabinteely probably teamed up being around them and losing at home at the start of the season. It's not a great result.
Yeah, for sure. The next game
I didn't see that game, but I'm not surprised by the result there. I don't see a huge progression in Wexford at all. To be honest, I mean, we'll see what the next few weeks bring along. But yeah, I don't think they have the ambition really as of yet. I get the sense they're just kind of trying to bring a few players through and maybe get some guys back from the junior soccer there, which is quite strong. Wexford, New Ross and teams like that. And so I think maybe that's part of their thinking, but I can't see. Cabinteely, I believe, have put a good squad together this year. Nobody is putting them into the title talk, but or promotion talk. But they might. I mean, they're probably one team that will, like UCD, that will just come from nowhere and surprise people. So I keep an eye out for them.
It's a really difficult division to predict because there's not an awful lot between a lot of the sides. Speaking of UCD there, they drew 2-2 in a good game at the Bowl with Athlone. I've been impressed with Athlone's business. They've brought in a couple of really, really good players and it's a decent game, 2-2.
Yeah, it was a few early chances going both ways. The opener was actually a really good shot from outside the box. Just kind of cracked the crossbar and came back down. And it was Mark Dignam was the first to pounce on it and just kind of knocked it in. 17 minutes later, it was a great header from Stephen Meany. I think it like came in from before. He just looped it over the keeper. It was actually an unbelievable header. Yeah, there wasn't really anything then until a bit later on. 74th minute. It was a nice bit of play. It was a true ball and it was well finished by Derek Keane. It looked like UCD were going to get the 3 points, but I think it was last minute. It was a long ball from the keeper, just flicked on. Adam Wickstead took it down, and the keeper position was a little bit questionable when it came out to it, and didn't really look very sure of himself. And Wickstead finished it. It was actually a very tight angle. It was a really good finish and stole the point for Athlone. I'd say UCD would be very disappointed with that anyway, throwing it away so late. From a team that I don't know. You assume UCD be kind of the top half kind of team, but that's not a result that shows that, I suppose.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I didn't see the game, but from the reports I read, yeah, I think it was a deserved share of points for Athlone there. They have a good sign of James Duna. It was a really, really good signing for him as well, and he'll do well in that league. And the service there is good. Like he'll definitely score a lot of goals and be a good focal point for that team. Yeah, they've really strengthened Athlone. Actually, Adrian Carberry down there as the manager. I think getting to the cup semi-final, the board backed him and they saw him as a young manager who could bring the club on, and like they'd be looking towards the playoffs. Probably don't quite have enough to get there, but because with 3 full-time teams in the league, it's for the strongest ever Division 1. But I think they'll do okay. They'll be better than last year, obviously, and they'd be hard to beat. Like that's a great point going to Belfield there. And UCD again, they've kept quite a number of last year's players. They haven't lost half their squad like they normally do. You saw Mark Dignam again, like he's been there for quite a few years. I think he's still only about 22, 23, but very, very good player. I think Colin Whelan as well, striker. So yeah, he's still there. I think he may be injured for the first game there. I'm not sure if he started, but there's a player who can hit the ground running and go on a goal scoring streak. So UCD could be one of these teams that win. You hear nothing off them, and they win 5 or 6 games in a row. They just tend to be like that, and so I wouldn't count them out until they're mathematically out of the equation. But they'd be good to go and watch in the bowl this year, especially when they're taking on the big teams. I think there'd be some good football out there to watch this year.
Definitely. You're talking about UCD there, saying that they haven't lost too many. One player that did lose was Yo-Yo Maddie to Shells. Yeah, and he made his debut against Galway in a 0-0 draw, which Shells will probably take. Man sent off in the first half as well, so decent result for Shells, you feel?
Yeah, I thought JJ only looked very bright in the highlights anyway. An early chance he kind of fired over was only in the first 40 seconds or something like that. It was a couple of chances either way. Then it was the red card in the 41st minute. For some reason on the highlights they didn't show what the red card was for, so I'm actually not sure it was for. I don't know if any Mackie might have read it somewhere what the actual red card was for.
But apparently it was for one of 3 things, and Ian Morris doesn't know which one of the 3. The linesman told him one thing, 4 division told him another thing, the referee told him a different thing. So nobody knows what the red card was for.
Yeah, and they couldn't even pick it up on the cameras, so I don't know what it was for. It was an unbelievable shot from Michael O'Connor. Just hit off the top of the crossbar and went over. That was kind of one of the best chances of the game. But despite having the advantage of the 11 men, Galway kind of fell flat. They didn't look like scoring really. Anyway, there was no clear cut chances. Anyway, that's for sure. So Shells, considering the circumstances, probably take it as a bit of a positive result. And not too bad of a performance, and a bit disappointing on Galway's end because it's definitely an opportunity that they've missed out on there.
Yeah. To go hit the post, Ty, did I hear that in some piece there over the weekend? John Caulfield did a piece on there, and I think they might hit the post. I'm not quite. I didn't see the game at all. He kind of conveyed that Galway had the better chances in the game.
Whatever way they showed it on the FAI TV highlights, they didn't show a single Galway chance basically.
Oh really? Yeah.
Maybe that's just the way they had it. They didn't even show the red card, so maybe it was just the way they had the highlights. So I'm only going off that, so you could be right.
I think both of these teams. I mean, I'm really intrigued to it's kind of a pity in a way that this won't be the last game of the season, because these could very. I know I'm talking about Bray, but these are the two heavily invested teams this year, that are probably fancied to be the top two, and it could very well be. I just feel that maybe Shells have possibly not got the right type of players in. I know Michael Connery, he tends to be very streaky, very hot and cold, and not very consistent. And can they get the best out of him? I don't know. Yo-Yo Maddie's a great signing for them. I mean,
fantastic. Yeah,
I have to say, I don't think he should be playing that division at this point, because he's at the age where he needs to get to the Premier if he wants to have a really good career for himself. They've got Gerard Bruna in there as well. I don't know if he played in that game. A very, very good player there as well for Shelburne. Galway again with Conor McCormack, a top class professional player playing in Division 1. He's going to ensure that they're, with him in the team, they're going to be top three. There's absolutely no doubt about that. They will definitely be in the top three. And but they want to win it. That's their ambition. But it just comes the year where there's so much strength in our 3 full-time teams, and even Treaty are amateur. They're not even part-time, and they train 4 days a week. So
crazy.
It just shows you the levels that are there. It's very, very high.
Yeah, for sure. The last game to look at was Cork beating Cove Ramblers 2-1. Good result for Cork to get off the mark, and a bit of a local rivalry there as well. So good result for them to get 3 points on the board.
Yeah, I apologise to Rory there if you wait an hour and 16 minutes to hear about Cork, but it's the way it is. Keane Coleman opened the scoring after a nicely worked corner routine. It kind of came across on the ground, and he kind of just directed it towards the goal and it was just flicked in. It's not a bad little routine there. Obviously been working on it in training. The equaliser then, Cove kind of just clipped the ball forward. It was flicked on, and the ball kind of came through. I think, is McNulty still the keeper for Cork?
Yeah, McNulty played that game.
And Kieran Griffin just striked it. It was kind of looked like it was Adam, but it kind of just clipped off his leg and went through his legs. Kind of questionable keeping. Maybe could have done better for it, but didn't stop Cork. They pressed on. Really high pressure. They won the ball back really high up the pitch. Kind of fell to Dylan McGlade, I think it was, and he whipped the ball in, and it went off to the back post for a tap in. I think it was to. I think it's Keane. Is it Keane Bardry or Bargary? I don't know how to pronounce the second name.
Bardry, I think. Bardry.
Bardry.
Yeah.
So a good win for Cork in a bit of a derby there, and one they probably would have been maybe not expecting to get, but one they definitely would have hoped to get 3 points from at the start of the season.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it was a great win for them, and as Colin Healy was saying, just a pity that this wasn't one of the games where they could have had fans in, because that would have been a massive crowd in that game. Cove have got a couple of good players. David O'Leary they signed during the close season. I think he may have signed towards the end of last season from the Munster Senior League. Very good player. Played with Limerick and Waterford before, and Cork City, and he'll be a big addition to Cove. And the Sylvian Turner there, so they have a couple of good players, and they'll probably be again on the periphery of the playoff. I mean, they nearly got to the playoff last year. Remember that game against Rovers B with about 10 minutes injury time, they were lobbing in free kicks in the last minute to get, and they could have got into the playoffs there. So they'll be competitive again. They won't be a pushover for anybody. I would have said Cork would have been at the lower reaches, but they've strengthened very late in the day and got a couple of good centre halves in there by all accounts. George Heaven is one guy apparently rated very, very highly, and he's going to strengthen that back line. With McNulty in there, there's a lot of experience at the back, so I think Cork will be strong there. Maybe lacking a goal scorer, but they've Stephen Beattie back as well. I cannot see them conceding many goals. I think they'll be very, very solid, and I think they'll be very, very pragmatic, hard team to beat, and they could surprise us,
Yeah, for sure. We'll fly through just the predictions. We're a little bit pushed for time, so we'll just fly through the predictions on the first division game. So Athlone playing host to Galway. That's gonna be a good game. It's a lot of tough ones to predict, but
it's a tough one to call. Just if I was basing off what I saw from Galway in the highlights, and Mark was saying there that they actually did have a couple of chances, but even still, 10 men, they should probably push on and win that game. And Athlone getting actually quite a good result. I'm gonna go with a draw in that game.
Yeah. What would you think, Mark?
I'm going with the away win in that game. I think Galway will win that one. A bit of a local derby there.
Narrow win, but
bit of an old derby there as well, and they'll be going there to get the win. And I think there'd be no question of Galway in any way being overly tactical in that game. That they'll just be going all out to win the game. There'd be no see out the first 20 minutes and suss out your opponent. They'll be going for the juggler from the kickoff there, I think, because they want to get into winning ways. And if you look at the way they finished last season as well with that fantastic run, when it comes to like league games, I mean they have a nice unbeaten record now, and they want to keep that going. So I think Galway will win that one, to be honest, and maybe even by 2 goals.
Yeah, I'd probably go narrow away win. Yeah, Cabinteely against Cork, I'd go for an away win again in that one.
Yeah, I'd be leaning towards an away win as well. I'm not too sure. And it could be a tight one as well, but I definitely would pick Cork in this one.
I'm going for the away win. I'm going to go for a draw on this one. I think early season Cabinteely, tend to be very plucky and can pull off. I remember they beat Bray 4-0 or was it the year before last, the first couple of games of the season. So I think they'll put it up to Cork, and I think the last time Cork went there, they only barely got through on penalties in the cup. So they haven't found it easy there before, and I think early season, full squads and all that. I think Cabinteely will put it up to them. I think that'll be a draw.
Yeah. The highlight game of the weekend would probably be Shells playing host to Bray Wanderers. Could be a cracking game. 2 really, really good sides. Expected to be up the top of the table. Unbiasedly, I'd go for a narrow home win.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you there. I think see Shells coming out on top of this one.
I'm getting my hot air balloon for this game because I don't want to miss it. This is going to be a really, really good game. Yeah. And I think this could be the game that sets Division 1, that sets the tone. Like who can put the marker down in this game? Yeah. And I'm actually going to go for Bray in this game.
Wow.
I think they won't play as badly as they played last Sunday. I think they're going to go, and I think they're going to put up a shot in this game. And I think they'll go and win that game.
I just have a feeling Shells want to fight back after that, because the 0-0 with Galway, if they had 11 men, they probably would have seen themselves winning that game. So I think they'll be trying to put that right, and I think they'll just come out on top, personally.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. This won't be at all. This will not be at all. This is going to be decent. A few goals in this game, definitely.
Yeah, and if Shells win this one, and they say they played Galway and Bray in the first 2 games and took 4 points, I'd be absolutely delighted with that. I think the 2 probably biggest contenders probably towards the end, and then to take 4 points from that would be really, really good return. I'm going to fancy Treaty United to pick up their first ever competitive win as a club against Wexford. I assume that's probably what everyone's thinking, is it?
Yeah, I was inclined to agree with you. Wexford did not look great at the weekend, so I've been inclined to go with a Treaty win, especially after picking up quite a good result, really, in terms of away to Bray. So yeah, I'd go with a Treaty win there. Yeah,
I go along with that as well. I mean, I think this is definitely the game where they'll be looking to get the win on the board, and it couldn't come at a better time to get the draw at Bray and then get the win at home. So this is one of and they kind of almost have to win it, because if they don't win this one again, with such an inexperienced team, you wouldn't want a kind of a bad run kind of kicking in this early on in the year. So I go for the home win there.
Yeah. The final game then in the first division, Cove playing host to UCD. It's a tough one to call. I'd probably go towards a draw on that one. I think that's a tough one to predict.
Feels like I'm just copying you, but yeah, I was going to say the same. Like it does look like a real tight one, and Cove did do well against Cork. Like they definitely could have got a result there. So they are a strong side, and UC's result was probably not a great one. So yeah, I'm leaning towards a draw, maybe even a Cove win, but I'll go with a draw.
Yeah, I go with a Cove win in this one. I think they're just very, very tough and resilient at home, and they'll be going out there to. I mean, they'll be looking at UCD as probably a team that they will be in around their area of the table. and they want to kind of prioritise this as a home win, and I think they have the players to do that as well. So I think UC will find it very, very tough down there, and I'll go with the Cove win.
Yeah. So that's the first division and Premier Division predictions wrapped up. Just before we're going to touch on one or two last things. But before we do that, if we can hit 70 likes on the stream, that would be greatly appreciated. And if you can subscribe as well while you're there, if you've made it this far into it, fair play to you, legend. And last thing as well, you are able to now drop a super chat, which is a small donation to the channel with a comment or a question that we will read out on the show. All support, as always, is greatly appreciated. So yeah, if you can like and subscribe is the main thing. It's really appreciated, guys. But we are going to talk about our record goal scorer, Robbie Keane, and I saw a little article about him recently where apparently staff morale is being affected by the ongoing situation. He does remain on the FAI's payroll at €250,000 per year, and he's not actually doing anything. The FAI staff, of course, still waiting to be paid last year's deferred wages. Is he tainting his legacy ever so slightly?
It's a strange one, because I remember even when he was on the management team, we weren't really sure what his role was. It's kind of like he asked to be there himself, like not asked to join the management team. And now, I mean, at the end of the day, he's kind of entitled to the money, like he was put on a contract, but it is just kind of, I mean, from our outside, it is like, like it's not like he's short of money. He's had a great career in the Premier League and in some great clubs. LA Galaxy, I'm sure you're into a lot of money over there. So it is a strange one. I think you could kind of maybe expect him to kind of just leave it and just kind of give it up, but it is his money, he's entitled to it, and I guess that's kind of his argument.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Yeah.
I remember we were joking about before, like it's almost like he's only there just because he wants to join in and train and relive the glory days. Like this way he's slowly getting worse. He went down to Rovers then to try and he goes into training just to knock a few goals in, like just to make himself feel good about himself. Like gets paid to play and train.
What are your thoughts on yourself, Mark?
I'm sure he can still do a job. Yeah, it's gas because I'm reading Gordon Strachan's autobiography at the moment, and Strachan's up raving when he signed Keane at the age of 19, and he thought he wouldn't get him at Coventry, and he said, I think Noah Whelan was there, and they lost him and Dion Dublin, and they said, well, if we don't get someone in, they got Keane in, and they never thought to get the money to buy him, but they got him in. So it's kind of around just reading that, and now we're talking about him. But I think, like I read somewhere there last week, he's worth 34 million, and all things considered, like he's entitled to the money, he's money and all that. But the fact that there are guys in the FAI who aren't getting paid and had to defer payments and all of that, I think maybe he could make some gesture towards them, or because they are effectively his colleagues, and he doesn't have to work for it, and they do. But that's a personal decision for him. What would I do? I probably would do even less. I don't know. I don't know what I'd do.
It is a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I can see what he probably feels a bit hard done by. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, he was part of the management team and then he was just gone. So maybe he just felt like he was going to play a role or something like that.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, the amount of money he's worth for the good of the FAI and stuff like that. If he cared about it a bit more, then maybe you could think. But it is his money, and you can't really, I suppose, argue with it. I suppose, but
who put him on that contract in the first place? Like, he's getting more than the League of Ireland winners, like, per year. Like.
Well, it was pretty much the same kind of dynamic as the Mick McCarthy bonus for qualifying for the 2002 World Cup, when Delaney got a few points into him and just thought, we'll give you that 100 grand, and what 100 grand, and the board weren't even consulted about that. It sort of smacks of the same kind of dynamic again, where it was taken out of the hands of the greater board, would say, and he was just given that contract because it seemed to be like a no strings attached kind of contract where it would just run, notwithstanding who the manager was, So I think that was just very shabbily done. But I just hope he's staying there. I hope he's doing it for the right reasons and not to have a dig at the FAI, because why would he do that when he's stalling his own career by just doing this at the same time? So
And at the end
I
of the day,
don't know where
that money is coming from other places. Like Ross said, like that money is coming from where it could potentially be spent on the league winners or something like that, or it could be the staff that aren't getting paid or haven't been paid yet. Like so,
facilities, anything like
that's exactly it. You know,
the game, like
But I mean, at the end, that's not his fault. That he's being paid that contract, but he's still like
but yeah, no, like
you
just a tricky
you compromise and say, okay, let's cut this. Yeah, you compromise and say, okay, let's just call it a day and whatever X number of months pay, and that frees him up to do what he wants to do as well. Then, because I think he's possibly curtailing his own he's setting his own limitations by not putting himself out there in the jobs market as well. You know.
And the last thing on it, maybe I think I can't remember who said it. I think one of the lads in the group said, "Oh, you should just offer him like 50% of the fee, lump sum, and just tell him to feck off." Like, and that's kind of what Mark was saying there. Just give him X figure and then move on, I suppose. Last thing we'll touch on, lads. A very exciting game after last week. Ireland playing Qatar in a friendly tomorrow night.
That's right.
It's the last thing we'll touch on.
I mean, it's a ridiculous friendly to be playing in the first place. I mean, it's only being played because Qatar want to get some senior football in, like and preparation for the World Cup. I mean, you have to imagine there was some money passed over there again. But yeah, I mean, on the back of that Luxembourg result, I don't think anyone cares about this game. And I personally don't even think I'm going to watch it.
No, I don't think so either. Would you give the likes of a Troy Parrott or Ryan Manning? I think Enda Stevens and Doherty are out anyway, so you'd give maybe a few of the players run out.
I presume you'd play like the lads that didn't get a game and they were called up, especially the lads that were taken away from the 21s and like weakened their squad. You'd imagine you kind of give them a game.
Yeah, give Bazina another start as well. He deserves it. Like,
yeah, definitely. It looks like he's going to be the keeper. So as much first team minutes in the national team as you can give him, I would give him. You know. Like even the two friendlies, I think I'd play him well today.
I think you should really. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think whoever hasn't played, like Darrell Horgan in the two games, should just because I believe it's Doherty and Stevens are out of the squad.
Yeah.
They pull out of the squad, so we've a bit less. But Ryan Manning, I think, has he even got a cap?
He played in Bulgaria.
Ryan Manning's not a bad player.
No, he's not.
He's only playing
he's not a bad player.
Yeah.
Looking at how Enda Stevens was playing in the last couple of games as well, like I think Ryan Manning could definitely push him potentially, and they'll probably be playing in the championship next season as well. So yeah, I think Ryan Manning could potentially, if he keeps playing well for Swansea, isn't it? So if he keeps playing well for them, he could definitely be in line to take over from Stevens as a left back. We'll finish off with scoreline predictions for that game. As I know it doesn't really matter, but if you just throw them out there, I suppose. What do you think? We'll start it off with you, Mark.
Oh God, I'm going to go for the win in this one. 2-1 Ireland, based on just loyalty, I suppose.
Pride.
It's kind of one of those games that's just got 0-0 written all over it. I'm actually leaning. Oh yeah, I'm just going to say 0-0. I'd be tempted to go even for a Qatar win, like because we're playing a lot of players that haven't played football and stuff like that. And I mean, I mean, you could say like some players they want to make a name for themselves, they want to push on and try and get into the next team, but the next team for a competitive game is until September, so like it's not going to mean anything because it'll be more your club form and stuff like that coming into them games. But so yeah, I'm gonna go to 0-0.
Yeah, fair. It'd be interesting to see what formation Kenny does go in it, but like it's slightly interesting. I suppose not that interesting, but yeah, everyone's so slightly interesting. Hopefully, I'll go for a 2-1 Ireland. Yeah, I don't even care, like, but yeah, lads, really appreciate you joining us tonight. Really enjoyed the show. And yeah, if you did enjoy the stream, if you can drop a like on it, it is greatly appreciated. If we can hit 70 likes is the target. If we can hit that will be tops. And if you can subscribe as well, of course, we're on the road to 3K, so that's always greatly appreciated. Mark, Tig, nice and pleasure as always.
Cheers, lads. Best of luck.
Thanks for your lads. Thank you.